I was in Vietnam all of the year of 1966. I was trained to be a 60 mortar leader in a 60 mortar group, which 60 mortar is a tube that fires a projectile with probably the strength of 4 hand grenades when it goes off. Well, the average day would be grouping up and going on patrols and ambushes. Patrols by day, ambushes by night, and then we did operations. The operations would last anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks. I was a part of 13 offensive operations and 2 defensive operations around the Way area. It was almost daily, and for sure weekly, that you just lived in fear 24 hours a day, fearing for your life, fearing for your friends. And whenever a friend was wounded or killed, they would whisk them off and you'd never see them again. So there was a lot of almost abandonment issues. Well, probably the most stressful and vivid memory was in July of 1966. We were going into an operation called Operation Hastings. History books say it was the bloodiest encounter since the Korean War. We were sent into an area of the province of Quang Tri up on the DMZ. On the second wave in that I was on, I noticed that there were only 10 helicopters that came to pick up my group, and there had been 13 or 14 that left. Well, when we got to the landing zone, LZ Crow, there were 3 helicopters had crashed. 2 were crashed together, side by side, and 1 was a little distance from them. When the first wave came into the LZ to unload the Marines, they took a lot of small arms fire from the North Vietnamese Army. And 2 of the helicopters got too close together and their rotors struck one another and they went down. As I came out of the back of my helicopter and started to run towards the perimeter of the landing zone, one of my friends walked by carrying one of our comrades' arms that had been severed by the blade of one of the helicopters. When the helicopters crashed, he ran out the back of the helicopter and the blades hit him and dismembered him and killed him instantly. But the sad thing was when we got home and we got out of the service, a lot of times you'd hear statements like, well, just take your uniform off, go home, and just forget about it. But those kinds of experiences, you never forget about it. Seems like they're tattooed on your brain, and from time to time, little things trigger them and set them off. When I came home for the next 6 years, I began not knowing what was going on within my psyche. I used drugs to self-medicate, and after 6 years, I was so tired of living that way, contemplating suicide. I happened to be in a church with my wife, but a minister in the church was asking if anyone wanted their life changed, if they would come down and give their lives to Jesus Christ. And so I did that. Reluctantly, I did that. And from that point on, my life began to change. I can't say that it was instantly healed, but over the years, slowly by slowly, things began to change. I began to understand what had transpired in my life and began to understand how to cope with those kinds of things that I was carrying.